Chapter 8. "You did it," Robbie squealed. "The snake's out. Quick, let's get in." My breath was coming in hard pants, but I dropped the branch and jumped in the car. Robbie and I pulled the doors shut, and I sank back in the seat. I was shaking all over. We did it! We did it!" Robbie exclaimed. "Boy, I wish I could have kept the snake skin. That would have really been something to show people." I was still in shock. I didn't care about the snake skin. I was just glad it was out of the car, and we were in it. Robbie got up on his knees and pressed his face to the glass of the front windshield. "What are you doing?" I asked. "I'm looking to see if I can see the snake crawling away. I want to know just how big it really was so I can tell all my friends." I put my hand over my face and closed my eyes. Let Robbie look all he wanted. I don't think he realized how dangerous the snake could have been. I mean, what if I'd pushed one way and it had sprung out and struck the other? I shuddered thinking of that huge snake coiling itself around my arm. With my eyes closed, I could almost see it moving up my arm, so I quickly opened them and sat up. Robbie's face was still pressed to the windshield. "Well, you see him?" "Nope," Robbie sounded disappointed. "I think we better turn off the headlights. We don't want to use up the battery before tomorrow morning. We've got to be able to hear the news then." I reached to shut off the headlights, and Robbie groaned. "I like it a lot better with some light. Exactly what is it that uses up a battery anyway?" "I don't know. I can't know everything. I just know that if the car isn't running and you leave the lights or the radio on for too long, the battery goes dead." I was tired and I was grumpy. "I don't have any idea how long is too long. I do remember the time you didn't shut the door all the way and the light in the car stayed on all night, and in the morning, Mom had a dead battery. Remember? She had to call AAA to come jumpstart the car, and she was late for work, and we were late for school. That's all I know about batteries." "Okay, you don't have to take my head off. I just wondered. Sure is dark out here. Did you hear that noise?" I didn't answer. I heard lots of noises, but the snake had worn me out. I just wanted to sink into this seat and not listen. It felt so good just to sit there that I wasn't sure I was ever going to get up. Unfortunately, it only took a few minutes to make me change my mind. I remembered what had started the whole snake situation as I felt an overwhelming need to go to the bathroom. I'd been so scared that I guess I'd forgotten before, but now I definitely needed to go. I tried to tell myself just not to think about it because there was no way I wanted to get out of this car until it was light. But the harder I tried to think about something else, the more I could only think about getting out of there and going to the bathroom. I grimaced. This wasn't going to wait until morning, no matter how much I wanted it to. I reached over and turned on the headlights. Robbie sat up from the back seat. "Hey, I thought you just said we had to keep them off." "Yeah, well, I have to go to the bathroom." "Oh, can't you wait till morning?" "No." "Well, I'm sure that the snake must have crawled far away from here by now." I think Robbie was trying to be helpful. It didn't help. "Besides, when I asked you before, you said snakes didn't come out when you peed." It seemed like it must have been years ago that I'd said that to Robbie instead of a few hours ago. Besides, it was a lie. I didn't know anything about the subject. That was the problem with school. They didn't teach you the stuff you really needed to know. Suddenly, I had an idea. "I'm not getting off the car." Robbie yelped. "Yeah, well, you're not going in here. That's just too gross." I opened the door to the car, climbed out and onto the hood, stood up, and took care of business. Feeling much better, I climbed back into the car. Everything out there wore a person out. Even going to the bathroom couldn't be simple. I was just about to reach out and turn off the lights again when a coyote ran in front of the car and grabbed a squealing rabbit. The coyote tore at the rabbit, and Robbie and I sat frozen. Blood spurted from the rabbit as the coyote ran off with it. "Geez," Robbie finally whispered. "You could have been right out there going to the bathroom. I don't think we ought to get out of the car again until it's light out, okay?" It sounded like a good idea to me. Both of us sat thinking about the bloody rabbit and the coyote. Then Robbie leaned over the seat and turned on the radio. "I know you said we got to save the battery, but I just need to hear some people's voices. Some regular old ordinary life stuff. Please?" Robbie's face looked real white. Okay, I said. Actually, the idea sounded pretty good to me too, and we wouldn't keep the radio on too long. The only station that would come in was a golden oldies station, but at least it was something. And now for your KOOL news of the hour, blared the radio. It's 1 a.m. on this Thursday morning. First, the announcer told about a fire that had broken out in a large Phoenix building. Then he talked about the monsoon-like rainstorm that had hit the valley. He mentioned a couple of other stories, and then he broke for a commercial. Boy, do you think they already forgot about us? Robbie asked. Of course not, I said, but I was a little worried myself. Why hadn't they said anything about us? Did that mean there was no search going on? The radio announcer continued with other stories. The news was almost over, and I was biting my lip in nervousness. Mom wouldn't let them just forget about us. And finally, said the announcer, there's been no further word on the 2 missing Phoenix boys. Police say there has been no ransom demand. Again, we are asking anyone who has seen a cream-colored Chevy Caprice station wagon, license CCJ-023, to please contact Crime Stop immediately. I wanted to yell at the radio guy. I wanted to scream at him that no one could see our license plate. We were stuck out in the middle of the desert in pitch-black darkness. I knew it wouldn't do any good to scream at a radio, so I forced myself to say, "See, Robbie, they're still looking for us." Yeah, which means they don't have any idea where we are. With that discouraging thought, we listened to a couple more songs, and then we agreed that we better turn off the radio to save the battery. I said, maybe tomorrow morning we'll hear that they've found out we're here, and they're on their way to rescue us. Meanwhile, we've got to try to sleep so we can think tomorrow. Robbie stretched out in the back seat, and I lay down in the front. We took the clothes Mom had bought and wadded them up to make pillows. It wasn't anything like being home in bed, but it sure beat being out on the hood of the car. My whole body hurt. My eyes felt scratchy under my eyelids, and my knee throbbed. I knew that I had to sleep, but as tired as I was, I just couldn't make my eyes stay closed. Pretty soon, I could hear Robbie snoring in the back seat. Finally, just as I had about given up on sleeping, I felt myself drifting off. No, don't kill me, Robbie screamed at the top of his voice. Please, just don't kill me. I forced my eyes open. My heart hammered. The kidnappers must have come back. They had Robbie. I made myself sit up. I didn't know what I could do, but I couldn't just let them take my little brother. Leave him alone, I screamed, trying to make my eyes focus in the darkness. What? What is it? Robbie yelled. Scott, answer me. Who's hurting you? What's wrong? My heart was still hammering. Are you there by yourself? Yeah, aren't you? There was a strong note of fear in Robbie's voice. But you screamed that you were being killed. I did? Robbie asked. I don't think I screamed. I put my head in my hands. You must have been having a nightmare. Robbie reached out and put his hand on my shoulder. I think I was just sleeping. Maybe you were having a nightmare. Hey, it's going to be light out pretty soon. Let's just turn on the radio for a few minutes. That'll help. Soon light shone both inside and in front of the car, but it was much dimmer than it had been. I knew we couldn't keep the lights or the radio on for very long. The battery must be starting to go. It helped a little to have the rock and roll oldies blaring from the radio, but it was depressing to have the announcer sounding as if the whole world was just great. The blue glow from the radio clock showed 3:17. I wondered how soon it would get light. Hey, remember this song? Robbie began to snap his fingers. You and Howard Langson did a lip sync to it in the school talent show last year. You wore that crazy green-haired wig and everybody loved your act. You know, we did use that song. I hadn't even remembered when I'd heard it on the radio, but now that I'd been reminded, I could see myself and Howard on stage. It had been lots of fun. That green wig was really something. I wonder what happened to it. I could see me and Howard getting our costumes together. We got 2 cans of fluorescent green paint, and his mom's old wig looked real different when we were through with it. Only problem was that Howard sort of forgot to ask his mom before we painted it. Boy, was he in trouble. Then after she saw the show, His mom decided that our act was worth her wig. I grinned, remembering. Hey, Robbie, you ought to try out for the talent show this year. You'll be old enough. Nah, I don't think so. Nobody could top your act from last year. You really think so? I couldn't believe this was coming from Robbie, who never said anything nice about anything I did. Yeah, everyone laughed. I mean, even the sixth graders who thought they were the only funny ones. Boy, that night, I told everyone around me that the guy on the left was my brother. You did? I was amazed. But you never said anything about it to me. Oh, right, I was supposed to be like Mom and run up saying how proud I was of you and that you were adorable. Robbie put his finger in his mouth and made a gagging sound. Give me a break. Imagine that, I thought. Robbie actually telling people, kids at school even, that he thought I was good. Before I could say anything else, the radio announcer came on saying that it was time for another news update. The newscaster talked about the fire again. He said that the storm had knocked down a power pole in West Phoenix, and that service to the area might not be restored until the morning. Then he said, search continues for 2 boys kidnapped at the 32nd Street Mini Mart yesterday afternoon. Police have been following every lead. Some witnesses reported seeing the car in Flagstaff, and others reported the car at the opposite end of the state in Nogales. Authorities do not know if the boys are still in that car or if they are still alive, nor is there any word as to why they were taken. We'll update you as we get new information. Meanwhile, the search continues, and police are asking everyone to watch for a Chevy Caprice station wagon. Robbie turned off the radio and banged at the light switch, plunging us into darkness. Nobody's ever going to find us. He sounded awful. Hey, I said, that's why we're going to go find them. Remember? We're going to be TV stars. We can't do that if we just wait around here forever to be rescued. Robbie didn't say anything, so I said, Rob, really, somehow it's all going to be okay. He sighed. Yeah, I guess we've been doing pretty good so far. We got rid of the kidnappers and the snake. It was funny in a sad sort of way. I was trying to make Robbie feel better, and I think he was trying to do the same for me, but both of us were scared to death about what the morning might bring. There was silence in the car, mostly because I think neither one of us could think of anything good to say. We each stretched out on our own seat, and with a mixture of a little hope and a lot of fear, we waited for the sky to get light.